All right, deep dive time. And today, we're tackling something I know a lot of you have been eager to unpack: influencer marketing.
It's one of those things, right? Everyone's talking about it, but cutting through the noise to figure out what really works, that's the challenge.
Exactly. So we're diving deep on a recent YouTube webinar from Social Bee. It's called Plan Your Next Influencer Marketing Campaign A to Z. They really tried to cover it all, but we're here to pull out those real golden nuggets.
The actionable stuff, the stuff that actually moves the needle.
You got it. And we all know by now it's about more than just follower counts, right?
Right. It's easy to get dazzled by those big numbers, but
It's about trust, right? Tapping into that existing relationship between the influencer and their audience. But how do you actually measure that? How do you know if that trust is genuine when you're evaluating potential partners?
that's where things get interesting. You can't just look at likes and comments anymore. Savvy marketers, they need to look deeper. Are people genuinely interacting,
Yeah.
asking questions, having real conversations, or are they just dropping a fire emoji and moving on?
It's like the difference between a packed stadium passively watching a game versus a room full of diehard fans passionately debating every single play. Right?
100%. And that's why understanding those different tiers of influencers, mega, macro, micro, it's so crucial.
It's about matching your budget to the right kind of engagement.
Exactly. You might find a micro influencer with an incredibly niche audience, and they're 10 times more valuable to you than some mega influencer with a million passive followers.
Makes sense. Now, weeding out the fakes, that's got to be a whole other beast.
It is, yeah. There are tools out there like Hype Auditor and Trend Hero that can be helpful, but frankly, sometimes the best tool is your gut. Does something feel off? Maybe the engagement seems too good to be true, or the comments all sound the same. Trust your instincts.
It's like anything else online, right? If it seems too good to be true,
It probably is.
probably is. Okay, so let's say you've spotted someone promising. Their audience aligns with your target market. The engagement's legit.
Yeah.
How do you even approach that initial conversation? You don't want to lowball yourself, but you also don't want to scare them away with a huge budget ask right out of the gate.
For sure. I think transparency is key there. Be upfront about what you're hoping to achieve with the campaign. Are you focused on brand awareness, driving sales, or something else? And don't be afraid to get creative with your compensation. Maybe you offer a combination of payment and other perks like exclusive access to new products or a co-branded event.
Right. Find that win-win, especially if you're working with a smaller budget. You mentioned co-branded events, and that makes me think about the different types of campaigns you can actually run. It's not all just sponsored posts, is it?
Oh, not at all. This webinar actually breaks down some really interesting options, even for brands with limited resources. Contests and giveaways, for example, can be a really powerful tool for generating buzz and growing your following.
Okay, intrigue me. What makes for a successful contest or giveaway in the influencer space?
The key is making it relevant to both the influencer's audience and your brand. You don't want to just give away something random for the sake of it, right? It should feel like a natural extension of their content and something their followers would genuinely be excited about.
So if you're a sustainable clothing brand, partnering with a zero-waste influencer on a giveaway featuring your latest eco-friendly collection, that'd be a home run.
Exactly. They also highlighted affiliate marketing as a really low-risk, high-reward option, especially for brands that are really focused on driving sales.
Because with affiliate marketing, you're only paying for actual results.
You got it. The influencer gets a cut of any sales they generate through their unique links or discount codes. So it's a great way to incentivize performance and really track your ROI. They actually shared a case study in this webinar of a beauty brand that saw a massive spike in sales after partnering with a handful of micro-influencers on an affiliate marketing campaign.
Okay, starting to see the potential here. But they also talk about some campaigns that totally flopped, right?
Yeah.
Give me an example of what not to do.
Oh, there was a memorable one. They analyzed a campaign where a plant-based food brand partnered with, wait for it, a cleaning product company.
Wait, what? How did that even happen?
Apparently, someone thought it would be a good idea to promote eco-friendly cleaning products alongside vegan recipes.
Okay.
The audience was completely confused. The engagement was abysmal. The whole thing just felt so forced and inauthentic.
Ouch. A cautionary tale if I've ever heard one. It goes to show that even with the best intentions, if you're not strategic about those partnerships and that audience alignment, it can backfire spectacularly.
100%. It's like trying to shove a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. And speaking of things that don't work, we've got to talk about those influencer campaigns that go viral for all the wrong reasons.
Okay, now I'm really listening. Tell me more.
Oh man, this one still makes me cringe. Remember that luxury watch brand, the one with the campaign featuring that gaming influencer?
Vaguely.
So, millions of followers seems like a perfect match, on paper. Except
Except.
this influencer's content, it was, well, notorious for being over the top. Pranks, stunts, that kind of thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so they end up incorporating this very expensive watch into some bit where they drop it in a fish tank.
No. For durability test, I bet.
You guessed it. And let's just say luxury watches and fish tanks.
Yeah.
Not a good mix.
The brand faced so much backlash for promoting, irresponsible behavior. The whole thing became a cautionary tale. Vetting not just the audience, but the influencer's overall style, their values, that kind of thing. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a potential partnership and forget about that stuff.
Oh, for sure. It's a good reminder, though, that even when you think you've ticked all the boxes,
Yeah.
surprises.
Always surprised.
Exactly. And that's why, that final stage of the campaign, the part where you actually track your ROI, is so crucial.
Because you need to know what's working,
Yeah.
right, what's not, and if you're actually getting a return on that investment.
Exactly.
We've talked about, aligning your metrics to your goals, website traffic, conversions, social media engagement. But what about the less tangible things, like brand sentiment? How do you actually measure something like that in this context?
That's where things get really interesting. Sentiment analysis tools, they're becoming so sophisticated. You can track not just how many people are mentioning your brand, but the emotional tone.
Whoa. So you can tell if people are excited about your brand or if they're turned off by something?
Yes. Excited, skeptical, confused, you get the idea. And that's invaluable, right? It lets you adjust your messaging, address concerns, make sure you're cultivating the right image. There's this example on the webinar, a fashion brand, they used sentiment analysis.
Okay.
And they identified a spike in negative comments about the fit of a new product line.
Oh, no. That's every brand's worst nightmare.
Right. But here's the thing. Because they were tracking sentiment in real time, they were able to address it immediately. They partnered with influencers, showcased different body types, offered free returns, that kind of thing.
They were proactive.
Exactly. And they turned a potential disaster into a chance to really build trust with their customers.
That's a win.
Huge. But even with all the data, sometimes the most valuable insights come from just talking to your audience.
What you mean actually asking people what they think?
Exactly. Don't underestimate, surveys, polls, Q&A sessions, that kind of thing. Those direct interactions, they give you a gold mine of information.
All right.
What's working, what's not, and what your audience is really looking for.
It's so easy to get caught up in the numbers and forget we're trying to connect with real people.
100%. And that brings up something crucial this webinar didn't really address. Building genuine long-term relationships with influencers.
Because it's not just about that one-off transaction.
Right. Think of it more like cultivating, a network of brand ambassadors, people who genuinely believe in your product and are excited to share it. Those partnerships are the ones that yield the most authentic, impactful results.
So how do you nurture those relationships? Turn that one-time collaboration into something more.
Communication. Check in regularly. Offer support. Celebrate their successes. Don't be afraid to go the extra mile. Personalize gifts, exclusive experiences, make them feel valued.
Because it's about that mutual respect.
Exactly. And when you have that foundation of trust, the results can be amazing. Now, before we get too carried away, there's one more crucial aspect of this we need to address.
Hit me with it. The legal stuff. We got to talk about the legal stuff.
Right. Contracts.
Yeah, you can't just wing it when there's money and brands involved.
Exactly. And this is actually where that Social Bee webinar, it gets surprisingly good. They go beyond, the basics and give solid advice on what to lock down right from the start.
Okay, so beyond the obvious, like payment and deliverables, what are some of the things people might not think about that should be spelled out in an influencer agreement?
Content ownership is a big one. Who owns the rights to those photos, the videos, even the captions?
Oh, interesting.
You need to decide upfront if the influencer can, reuse that content for other clients or if it's exclusively yours.
Because the last thing you want is to see your competitor using your campaign materials a week later.
Exactly. And speaking of exclusivity, that whole thing is worth thinking about. Are you okay with this influencer promoting other brands in your niche? Might be worth paying a premium to lock them down as, a truly exclusive partner.
That makes sense. Protecting your investment, making sure your message is being amplified the way you want.
Exactly. And while we're talking protection, usage rights for things like testimonials and like user-generated content, that's huge.
Okay, so an influencer posts a glowing review of my product. Can I just take a screenshot of that and use it?
You need to get their explicit permission.
Really?
Yeah, using their likeness, their words, anything beyond that initial post for promotion.
So just a line in the contract gives me permission to use their content for marketing.
Exactly. Avoids headaches later, makes sure everyone's on the same page. There's this story in the webinar, this brand.
Oh.
They used an influencer's photo on a billboard without asking.
Oh no, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. So much for saving a few bucks by skipping the legal stuff.
Right. Not worth the risk. But here's the good news. With the right tools and resources, this doesn't have to be painful.
Okay, good. Give me the goods. What can we use to make this easier?
There are some great contract templates out there specifically for influencer collaborations. Many are free or super affordable. And if it's a bigger campaign, bigger budgets, might be worth talking to an actual lawyer who specializes in this stuff just to be safe.
Solid advice. It's amazing how much we've covered. I feel like I went from influencer marketing novice to actually having a decent grasp on the essentials here.
That's the beauty of a good deep dive, right? Taking all that info and boiling it down to the good stuff. But the real learning, that happens when you go out and actually use it.
So true. Our listeners are probably brainstorming campaign ideas as we speak.
I hope so. The world needs more creative, authentic influencer marketing.
100%. And on that note, we'll leave our listeners with one final thought. The most successful campaigns of all are still built on that human connection. Don't lose sight of that, even with all the data and strategy.
Well said. Find those influencers who get you, build that relationship, and watch the magic happen.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, everyone, stay curious.